Hey guys, it is Mershd. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to showcase two teams that you can use if you are progressing through the missions and you've come up to the ones where you have to do Spider 25 and Fireknight 25 on auto 10 times, right? Now, for many people, this is a challenge, especially the first time you're doing it. Usually you've been farming like stage 20 of those dungeons and just been farming gear on those stages, but you're looking to progress through your missions and you're trying to get that mission of doing these dungeons 10 times on stage 25 full auto, right? Now, the interesting thing about these two teams is that four champions from each of those teams are the exact same and you can use the exact same build. Only one champion changes. Well, two champions, but there's only one champion change between the two teams, right? So we'll start off with the ones or the champions who are in both teams. Now, bear in mind this is for Spider and Fire Knight. The first champion that we have in the lineup is Sile of the Drakes. Now, ignore the gear that I'm using on these champions. It's because I have other reasons for them now. I don't use them for Fire Knight or Spider. I use them now for like mainly Doom Tower stuff, right? But Sile, she is really, really good for both of these bosses because of her A1. So her A1 is when she just attacks one enemy, she can place a decreased speed, and she also has a chance at decreasing the target's turn meter by 15%. Now I know it's not a lot, but for Spider, if you're constantly putting this slow out on the boss, obviously it's going to buy you time before it gets back to the massive heal, and it just buys you more time to get your damage in. And to be honest, it's the same with Fireknight, but instead of the massive heal, it's the Fireknight shield, right? And decreased speed buff is just gonna, delay it so you can actually get your damage off. Her A2 is a AoE attack. It hits twice on all enemies, and each hit has a 20% chance of placing the stun debuff. Now remember that that can go up if you take Spider. It increases it by 5%. So instead of having like 220%, you have 225%. Just increases the odds a bit. And yeah, it's a stun and it's on a 3-turn cooldown, which is huge. And then she also has a revive, which is honestly really strong at just keeping the revived champion alive, right? So her heal is her revive will bring the ally back with 50% HP and puts an ally protection buff on them. And her passive, which is like as if the rest of the kit wasn't like good enough, the passive will heal all the allies on your team by 10% of her max HP. So yeah, that Sile, she is best used in Relentless gear, but make sure that you are prioritizing the stats that you can get on her. Try and get the defense, the speed, the crit rate, crit damage, and accuracy up as high as you can, including her HP for that heal passive as well. She is very stat intensive, so if you can't get these kind of stats without like with Relentless gear, then honestly, the Relentless gear isn't too important. It's just a nice little extra boost. She does benefit a lot from it, but again, it's not crucial to the team. You can run it without it. The second champion that includes in both teams. Oh, and by the way, Sile is a login champion that everybody can get for free. The second champion is another one of those champions. We have Drexthar Blood Twin. Again, I use my Drexthar in Doom Tower, so you don't have to get to these crazy high number of stats, and you don't need to get him in Immortal gear either. He will stay alive just through Sile's healing. However, if you can squeeze like even just one set of Immortal on him, it's preferable. The reason for that is because he has this A2, which is an AoE attack, and it places a provoke on enemies. It's only a 40% chance, yeah, 40% chance, and it's 100% if they're under HP burn, which his passive and his A1 are capable of placing. And again, you can get him for free in the Bazaar. And if you're at the point where you're hitting stage 25 of Fire Knight and Spider, then he very much should be in your count. And I 100% recommend to anybody to build him, just because he is someone who stays relevant even till the right to the end game. Um, Again, the stats really aren't too important. You just want to crank up his defense, make sure he's got accuracy to be able to place the stuff that he's got in his kit. A crit rate to, again, further increase the chances. And then after that, honestly, just stick as much HP as you can on him just to make sure he can stay alive to do his job. Now, the third champion who features in both teams, where is he? It is one of my favorite champions. I'm not gonna say my favorite, but he's definitely up there, and it is Farakin the Fat. Now, Farakin, I love him. I'll go over his abilities quickly. He's got a A1, which attacks one enemy and will place a decreased defense debuff. He has an A2, which is really good against bosses, hence why he's in both of these teams. And it will attack one enemy. It will place a HP burn debuff and two poison debuffs, which are honestly like just two really, really, really strong like debuffs for killing bosses. Then his A3 is an incredible ability. It's an ally attack for everyone but him, where he will put increased crit rate and increased crit damage on all allies except for himself, and then they're all going to go and attack. So basically, it means that with this team, if you are going to use this team to clear these stages, you can build all of your champions with 70% crit rate, and Farakin will carry the rest over. Then his passive will deflect 20% of all incoming damage that he receives onto all allies, and the damage will be spread, well, equally. In terms of his gear, uh, my Farakin is currently being used in my clan boss team, so he has to be at this speed, but he doesn't need to be. He can run as long as it's like above about 210, 220. He should still be able to do the job just fine. Accuracy, you just need enough to place those debuffs, and then aside from that, you just want attack, a little bit of defense just so he can stay alive. I would say at least 32,000 HP, and then just whatever damage you can fit into the build, right? Now, the reason he's going to be strong for these two bosses is for Spider, he brings this nice debuff, and he brings ally attack, which will synergize very well with Drexthar and Syil, because it's going to mean Drexthar can place his HP burn on the boss, and it's going to mean that Syil can get another auto attack in to be able to put the decreased speed out and control that turn meter even more. For Fireknight, this ability is insane because I'll show you the rest of the champions like soon, but it means that at the very start of the turn, pretty much, he can use this ally attack and just pop the shield off straight away. Now, the fourth champion that will appear in both teams is a very, very, very strong champion who goes by the name of Stag Knight. Now, Stag Knight is another epic. So him and Farakin are not available, obviously, as like logins or for free, so you do have to pull them from shards. But because they're epic champions, they're a lot more accessible to people than any legendary champions, or that aren't login rewards. And with Stag Knight, you literally just want speed, you want accuracy, and then whatever damage and HP, survivability stuff you can throw in. Honestly, as long as you've got, I'd say as long as he's the fastest in the team, so he can place his decreased defense, and has at least 250 accuracy. I use mine for Iron Twins, hence the 500. But as long as he has at least 250 accuracy, he'll be able to do his job. Then yeah, the rest of it, like he benefits from attack and defense. The attack is for damage, the defense is for staying alive. I've gone for more defensive, and to be honest, his crit rate could do with being improved, but it's not important. Like I said, you literally only need speed and accuracy for him, and the rest is kind of up to you. Now, this is where we get to the two champions who will make each team slightly different, right? So we have got number one. We'll start with the Fireknight champion. The Fireknight champion is going to be Coldheart. Most people will have a Coldheart. She's a rare champion that you can pull from a Void Shard. And I don't know, I feel like after like a year of playing, you're almost guaranteed to get a Coldheart, right? Now with Coldheart, mine is used for speed running Spider 20 and 25 normally. So this is not like an optimal build for this team. I just wanted to, I guess, show this team off to you guys, right? HP, I'd recommend to have at least like 36, so about 10k more than what I've got. And this is because she will be taking some hits. And ideally, you would want her HP to be higher than what Drexthar Blood Twins is, just because it means the Spiderlings in Spider 25 will target Drexthar and put HP burn out on themselves, which will just increase the damage and make the run faster overall. But because I don't want to change the Coldheart build, I changed it quite recently to this nuke build. I'd strongly recommend to pump up the HP. Attack doesn't really matter. Aim for at least like 2,500, I'd say. Speed, again, doesn't really matter too much, but the closer to 200 speed that you can get her, or or even further, like more than 200, the better. She only needs 70% crit rate anyway, and you could actually get away with building her 40% crit rate, which is crazy low. but the reason you can get away with it is because of Farakin putting out the increased crit rate buff. And obviously, Heartseeker, her main ability, has an extra 30% chance of critting anyway. So you're getting 60% crit for free on that main ability. So you only need 40% crit. If you're just going for this particular team just to get this mission done, that's all you would need. And then crit damage, obviously, as high as possible. You want that ability to smack. And accuracy, as long as she's got 250, it's all Gucci. So she's going to be in the Spider 25 team, and she's going to be in the Fireknight 25 team, and her replacement for Spider is going to be Miscreated Monster. Now, Miscreated Monster was honestly like my main carry through mid game. He was insane for me, and I will never get rid of this Miscreated Monster. I'm never going to vault him. He has done too much for my account over the years that I have been playing this game to ever put him in the vault, man. The vault is where we put all the dupes, the dupes and the like kind of bad champions. But Miscreated Monster, I didn't have any gear on him. I just built him out for this video. We've got, again, you only need 250 accuracy and around 200 speed. Crit rate only has to be about 70. Crit damage can be whatever you like, to be honest. I recommend increasing it. HP as high as you can, and defense at least 2k. The reason we've got Miscreated Monster for Spider is because his A2 will attack all enemies. It has a chance of stunning all the enemies it hits, and then it will place a shield buff on all allies, including himself, for 3 turns on a 3-turn cooldown, and it will be equal to 25% of the damage inflicted, right? And then he also has this ally protection, which is where he will put the ally protection buff on all the allies. He also puts continuous heal buffs on himself, and his passive means that anyone who attacks allies whilst his ally protection buff is on them, it can fear people. So for Spider, not only is he bringing a massive shield, which will basically mean you never die, his A1 is just like a standard stun that can also put decreased defense out, but his A3, combined with his passive, will keep your team alive whilst also helping to lock up the Spiderlings to make sure that they're not doing as much damage, right? It's really, really strong. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the runs now. Which one here have we got first? Ooh. Right, I'll show you the Spider run just because we've just covered Miscreated Monster. Let's skip into it. Right. So I'm not going to lie to you. This will not be a very fast run. It's not going to be a crazy speed run, but it will get the job done, and you'll see how consistent and like how just safe it is just to get that kind of mission done. This is the team that I used to farm Spider 25 for a long time before I ended up just making some speed teams. But the way it will work is, right, when you combine Miscreated Monster and Drexthar and Farakin, it's crazy because Farakin's passive is going to spread the damage across all allies. Miscreated Monster's passive is going to mean whenever allies are attacked, the Spiderlings are going to get feared, which will lock them up completely. And then with Drexthar's passive, not only, with Drexthar's passive, it just means that he's going to have a chance to place that HP burn on everybody, or everybody that attacks, pretty much. Then you combine that with Side of the Drake's passive just to increase the speed of people, get the turns going. You got turn meter. Whenever whenever the Spiderlings are not feared, they are likely to be stunned because of Sile, as you see, like placing all of the stuns out there. And also it has a chance of placing a leech, by the way. So when Miscreated Monster uses his shield ability, that's another form of healing for him. It's just to like get back to HP since he's obviously got the ally protection buff out there. He needs the healing more so than anybody, right? Because he's basically tanking every single hit, as well as the spider, like the big spider's big hit. And then you got Stagnite, increasing accuracy whenever a debuff doesn't land, which is like just nice. And also putting decreased defense out there on all the Spiderlings. So again, when Miscreated Monster puts out his A2, which is the massive shield, it's based on the damage he does, right? So if the targets are under decreased defense, the shield value is going to be even more. So you can start to see how the team is working, right? We are, 2 minutes into the fight. We are not really even close to dying. Everyone's still got their shield up, apart from now because it'll just run out. But it should be going back on this turn. Right, Miscreated Monster, don't let me down. There you go. And there you go, massive shield. And because there's so many enemies to attack, the shield is just, the value of it is insane. Um, but yeah, this is pretty much just how the team works, right? Like it's just constant ally protection, massive shield, HP burns out just by getting attacked, fears are going out, stuns are going out. It's really good. And then you got Farakin basically carrying the damage along with the HP burns, just because his A2 is a massive clan boss, well, clan boss killer, yeah, but um, it's just a massive boss killer in general. It does that. It does a good amount of damage when it hits, and it's also placing two of the highest damage debuffs. And then you've got his ally attack, which is putting crit rate, crit damage on everybody. Like he's just carrying the damage for this team to be able to, try and kill this boss. But this is basically how the team runs. Like I'll just skip towards the end now, just because it is a long run, and you can expect a long run if you're trying to do this boss for the first time, and you don't have the champions or the gear to be able to just speed run it. But okay, we'll get to the end here. And then some of the spiderlings with HP men take a turn, and Mama Spider falls. So yeah, that is the Spider team. This is exactly how I cleared Spider back when I was progressing through the game. And then we have Fireknight. Now, Fireknight, you do need a preset for Fireknight, pretty much just to make it so Coldheart saves her Heartseeker, and to make sure that Farakin saves his ally attack ability throughout the second wave. So that way they have it up to be able to use against the Fireknight when you get to that part of the fight. And you also want to make it so everybody uses their multi-hit abilities first when they get to the Fireknight. So for Coldheart, it's going to be her A1 because it hits 4 times. It's going to be Drexlar's A1. It's going to be Stagnite's A1. It will actually be Sile's A2, which is the stun because it hits twice, whereas her A1 will only hit once. And then Farakin's ally attack, which is going to make everybody use their A1 like straight away. You're going to pop the shield instantly, and you can start stacking up your debuffs then. You can start hitting him with your big abilities, and then his shield is basically just going to keep falling every time Farakin uses his ally attack, or every time Coldheart uses her A1. I would also advise turning off Coldheart's A2, just for the Fireknight stage, just because it's a single hitter. It's like the worst ability in her kit for dealing with Fireknight. You want her using her Heartseeker, or you want her using her A1 to be popping the shield, right? So essentially, look, we get through the waves, kind of no problem. Because my Coldheart is so squishy, she is prone to dying throughout these, but that's when it comes to like, so you saw the spider fight, right? You saw how hard it was for us to die. Well, even if we did die, we have Sile who has a revive, who will ally protect the champion who's just died, and then heal them up every time she takes a turn anyway. So I'll just kind of skip through the waves. I think Coldheart, yeah, so Coldheart dies. You're going to see Sile just picks her right back up, puts protection on her, and just says, "Come on, Coldheart, we are not done with this dungeon run yet." Um, but yeah, it does take a while to get through these waves, just because again, it's stage 25. It's the hardest like dungeon content in the game, right? Okay, so then we get to the boss. Now you're going to see exactly what I mean. Everyone has to use their multi-hits first. So Stagnite goes in, you get the ally attack from Farakin, and boom, the shield is already popped. Now it's just a case of trying to get in as much damage as we can. And in this preset, by the way, I haven't done it perfectly. Coldheart did not have her A2 turned off, but you're going to see we're just sacking as much debuffs as we can in this time, cycling through our abilities, waiting for him to get his shield back up. And then with his shield back up, so look, this is why Sal's in the team. Every time she uses her A1, she's just going to to reduce the turn meter to buy even more time. And obviously it did throw it out of sync a little bit here, because otherwise the shield would come back up and Farakin's ally attack would whack it straight back off. But honestly, we don't mind using the ally attack just for pure damage either. And as you see, Coldheart falls when he takes a turn, but Simon's just going to pick her, straight back up. And honestly, these two teams built the exact same ways is exactly how well, the same ways across both dungeons. I mean, I didn't have to like change gear depending on which dungeon I was fighting. But these two teams are exactly how I ended up beating both of these stages 25 when I was progressing through the missions. So yeah, I'll just skip to the end, show you the final result. And there you go. See what I mean? Farrakhan is just an absolute boss when it comes to damage. I love him so much. He might actually be my favorite champion. The more and more I think about it, the more he's winning over my heart, man. But without further ado, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you guys, if you are struggling with these stages, have learned something. And yeah, hopefully catch you in the next video. So take care, like and subscribe if you enjoyed it or learned something, and peace.